Hello, everybody. Welcome to the Buckeye Weekly Podcast. I am Tony Gerdeman here as always with Tom. How's it going?
I know what you were thinking. There's nothing going on this week. There's nothing to cover with the team. So I hope there's some breaking news. Tony, I have great news for you. There's some breaking news.
Oh, is that right? Yes, there is some breaking news. Ohio State freshman running back Sam Williams-Dixon entering the transfer portal. True freshman this year, played in 3 games, carried the ball 7 times, rushed for 53 yards. You never know how a true freshman is going to adapt to the program. So, it's this one, kind of like the Mitchell Melton transfer, is a little surprising to me, and that maybe some of the freshmen just aren't on the radar in terms of possible transfers. Some are, like an Aaron Noland, when you see that sort of situation. Though I guess being part of a 2 running back class like Sam Williams-Dixon was with James Peoples, and James Peoples being the number 3 running back, is there some of that, some of the Aaron Nolan thing, like, well, I've already been passed by somebody in my class. Do I want to go find something else? But at running back, Tom, you could play, as we're seeing right now, you could play 2, 3 running backs and get them all involved all season long.
You definitely can. I think the fact that right now, Travion Henderson's going. I've seen Quinshon Judkins projected as a first-round pick, so we don't know for sure if he's leaving, but I think that that's a decent possibility. But James Peoples has shown that he's pretty clearly, just in terms of the snap counts this year, 9 snaps for Sam Williams-Dixon, 94 for James Peoples. So safe to say he's ahead right now on the depth chart. And you got to remember, not only did they bring in 3 running backs in this class, they brought in Bo Jackson, they brought in Turbo Rogers, and they also brought in, I'm going to remember it in a minute, Isaiah West. That's right, Isaiah West out of St. Joe's. But then they also brought in a transfer running back as well, C.J. Donaldson from West Virginia. So now you're bringing 4 new guys into the mix. And, as you didn't get a chance to play a ton as a true freshman, which, okay, you're the 4th running back, sure. But you were, he wasn't playing on special teams. This is pretty clearly a straight up redshirt year for him. So if, you're starting to see some of those guys come in and maybe you're looking at, hey, the 2 guys who are ahead of me in terms of seniority are both potentially leaving. So then, James Peoples and Sam Williams-Dixon will be the senior guys. Well, then you bring in the transfer, and then that clouds the path of the field a little bit more. And then, you talk about a 2 running back class potentially blocking your path to the field or making it the picture a little cloudier. They bring in a 3 running back class that only adds more bodies. And, they've brought in, they had a 5 running back class, five running backs on the roster last year. And I remember talking to Tony Alford, who was, then the Ohio State running backs coach, now the Michigan running backs coach. But I remember talking to him about like, how, this feels like a lot of running backs. It was kind of like, yeah, it's a lot of running backs, and you got to kind of, it is not going to be, the 5th guy is not going to get a ton of carries. That's just how it is. Well, now you've got Donaldson coming in, you've got Peoples, you've got 3 other guys, and you had Sam Williams-Dixon. So then you're going to have 6 running backs this upcoming season. That number never felt like it was going to be a sustainable one. 6 running backs is a lot. And, with Sam Williams-Dixon, he's a talented guy. He's going to go somewhere. It's not like he's going to just fall off and go back to high school or something like that. So, he's going to have options. That just felt like 6 was not going to be a sustainable number in my mind.
It's a lot to ask of anybody to be part of that, which is why it was, credit to Carlos Lockton, running backs coach, for being able to sign 3 running backs in the 2025 class. But with Sam Williams-Dixon, like, as he was being recruited, was talked about as this hybrid running back receiver type that can play in the slot, can do this and that. And initially he was buying into that. And then after that, I think he kind of got annoyed by it, where it's like, no, I am a running back and I need to be recognized as such. Cause there is some thought that maybe he was going to flip from Ohio State and go somewhere else. And then he took one last visit to Ohio State, was like, okay, this is where I want to be. And now he'll enter the portal. He won't be part of the team moving forward into the playoffs, class schedules, semesters, all of those things. dictate now that guys have to go and find somewhere to play and get enrolled. So he's a guy that, I don't know how much he would have factored in other than the fact that he's got a year under his belt. But I talked to Carlos Loughlin at the Rose Bowl, and basically he's talking about, I tell my guys, I'm trying to replace you every year through recruiting. I am trying to bring in somebody that is better than you, so you better recognize that. And you certainly do recognize that, and then you either accept it or you go and try to find another place to move on. And I will also say, Tom, I don't know if this is the case with Sam Williams-Dixon, but a guy who is the third or fourth running back on Ohio State's roster can go somewhere and be the first or second running back on another roster and make more money doing so.
Yeah, for sure. And that's kind of the new reality of college football is the NIL piece comes into play here to a certain degree. And I'm going to cite someone who I don't think he was actually around for NIL, but someone who I talked about on one of the other shows in terms of someone who was playing a relatively small role at Ohio State who went on to have a really big role at a smaller school. And that's Sam Williams, who was a walk-on wide receiver at Ohio State, who went down to Ohio University and turned into the number one wide receiver there. And, I can't imagine the NIL budget in Athens is quite what it is up in Columbus, but you're certainly, you're at the front of the line if you're the number one receiver or the number one running back at a school in the MAC or, Cincinnati or, any kind of go to school in the American, wherever. I mean, you can pick a school, pick a conference, wherever you go to Marshall, wherever you want to go. If you're the number one guy there, yeah, you're getting the big piece of chicken there. Like you're not getting the scraps. And so yeah, that does factor into it. And also guys just kind of do want to play. And Sam Williams-Dixon had an unusual journey to Ohio State. He was originally playing his high school ball in Holmes County. And if you're going, where the heck is Holmes County? It is Amish country. I did a study several years back on the last Ohio State player from, each of the 88 counties in Ohio. And there were 10 where I could not find any record of any Ohio State varsity player ever being from that county. And Holmes County was one of them. And he was in Holmes County for the first few years of high school and then transferred to Pickerington North for his final, or Pickerington Central. I never get the Pickerington high school straight. Was it Pickerington North? He was Pickerington North. I was right. He transferred to Pickerington North, and he played some, but he was not putting up massive numbers there because that's a school that pumps out a ton of D1 kids. He had 71 carries for 475 yards, averaged 6.7 yards per carry in his senior season, 4 touchdowns. But those are not numbers that you look at and you go, wow, that's someone who's definitely going to be a real high level P5 guy. So, he may be someone who fits in better at a Cincinnati type program or a Pitt or Marshall or wherever. And, it certainly has the profile to be a bigger player there. I do wonder, Tony, when Ohio State brought in Turbo Rogers as the third running back in this class, he kind of fit that same positional profile in terms of what type of running back are you? That same type of positional profile that Sam Williams-Dixon did. And I wonder if that might have played a little bit of a role here too.
Turbo Rogers is a guy that's carried the ball about 90 times the last 2 years. So he's been playing a lot in the slot and talking to Carlos Loughlin about him. I'm like, is it going to take you a while to get him back to being a running back? He's like, no. But he does have that ability to catch the ball like Sam Williams-Dixon. And the last thing for me, Sam Williams-Dixon can also drop down a level, whatever that may be, whether it's wherever. Go find a place that you can start and then drive your money back up. Go rush for 1,100 yards, and now you are one of the hot commodities on the market because that is the new reality in college football. So there you go. Sam Williams-Dixon off to the transfer portal, will not be able to stay with the team. And again, he's not been playing really anyway. So it's not an issue for this Ohio State football team. It's more of an issue for next year's Ohio State football team. So thank you all for tuning in. Hit that thumbs up before we go. On YouTube, we would appreciate that. Of course, subscribe to the channel if you've not yet done so. Hit the bell to be notified. And continue to find us at BuckeyeHuddle.com, $4.99 for your first month, where we are talking about All of this, Cotton Bowl, and much, much more. Thank you all for tuning in, and we will talk to you guys later.